They said it started as a game, but by the time parents noticed, it was already too late. Teenagers across continents were waking up at 3 a.m., carving symbols into their skin, standing at the edges of rooftops, waiting for a final message from someone they had never met. No one knew who created it. No one knew how it spread so fast. And the most terrifying part? The game didn't just exist online, it existed inside their minds. The Blue Whale, a true digital nightmare. In the mid-2010s, as smartphones became extensions of human identity and social media blurred the line between reality and virtual existence, a chilling phenomenon began surfacing in fragmented whispers across the internet. It wasn't advertised. It wasn't listed in any app store. It didn't have a clear beginning, yet somehow it found its way into the lives of vulnerable teenagers. They called it the Blue Whale game. At first glance, the name sounded harmless, almost poetic. Blue whales, after all, are the largest creatures on Earth, often associated with calm, deep oceans. But behind that name lay something far darker. The origin, Russia, 2015 to 2016. The earliest known reports of the Blue Whale game trace back to Russia around 2015. Local media began linking a rising number of teenage suicides to mysterious online groups. These weren't ordinary online communities. They were private, invite-only, and controlled by individuals known as curators. The curators didn't just communicate with participants, they manipulated them, psychologically, relentlessly. The game itself consisted of 50 challenges over 50 days. Each day, the participant would receive a new task. Some seemed harmless at first. Wake up at 4:20 a.m., watch a specific horror video, listen to eerie music for hours. But slowly, the tasks escalated. Descent into darkness. As days passed, the tone of the challenges shifted. Participants were instructed to stand on the edge of tall buildings, harm themselves and send proof, isolate from friends and family, draw a whale on their skin using a blade. These weren't random acts, they were carefully designed psychological steps. Each task pushed the participant further away from reality and deeper into dependency on the curator. Sleep deprivation weakened their minds. Isolation removed support systems. Self-harm created a sense of irreversible commitment. By the time participants reached the final stages, many felt trapped. Control through fear. One of the most disturbing aspects of the Blue Whale game was how curators maintained control. Participants were often told, "We know where you live. We will harm your family if you quit." Whether these threats were real or not didn't matter. To a sleep-deprived, emotionally vulnerable teenager, they felt real. Some participants reportedly shared personal information early in the game, making the threats even more convincing. Fear became the cage, and the curator held the key. The final challenge. Day 50, the last instruction, jump. No metaphor, no symbolism, just one irreversible act. By this point, participants were often mentally exhausted, emotionally isolated, and psychologically conditioned. Some believed they had no way out. Others believed completing the challenge would finally bring peace. And tragically, some followed through. Global panic. As reports spread, countries around the world began issuing warnings. The United States, India, the UK, and many others saw a surge of concern among parents, schools, and law enforcement. But tracking the game was impossible. There was no central server, no official platform. It spread through social media, private messaging apps, online forums. By the time authorities identified one group, another had already formed somewhere else. Media versus reality.
As the story gained international attention, it also became controversial. Some experts argued that the blue whale game was overhyped by the media. They suggested there was no single organized game. Many cases were unrelated but grouped together. Panic amplified the phenomenon. Others insisted the threat was real, less as a structured game and more as a pattern of online manipulation targeting vulnerable youth. The truth lies somewhere in the middle. There may not have been one mastermind controlling everything, but there were definitely individuals exploiting the idea. And that was enough. Why teenagers? The blue whale game didn't target everyone. It targeted the vulnerable. Teenagers dealing with depression, loneliness, family problems, social isolation. Curators often identified these individuals through their social media activity. A sad post, a cry for help, a sign of emotional distress. That's all it took. From there, they offered something that seemed like understanding, connection, purpose, but it was all a trap. The psychology of manipulation. What made the blue whale game so effective wasn't technology, it was psychology. It used techniques similar to those seen in cult recruitment, coercive control, behavioral conditioning. Step by step, it broke down the participant's sense of self, replaced it with obedience, and created a reality where the curator's voice mattered more than anything else. The digital age danger. The blue whale phenomenon exposed a terrifying truth about the modern world. You don't need physical proximity to control someone. You don't need power, money, or status. All you need is access and the right words. A smartphone becomes a gateway, a private message becomes a leash, and a stranger becomes the most powerful voice in a teenager's life. Response and prevention. Governments and organizations responded quickly once the danger became clear. Schools began educating students about online safety. Parents were urged to monitor digital activity. Social media platforms increased moderation. Hotlines and mental health support systems were also promoted to help vulnerable individuals. But prevention remains difficult because the root issue isn't just the game, it's the emotional state of those who fall into it. The legacy of the blue whale. Today, the blue whale game is less visible, but its legacy remains. It opened the world's eyes to a new kind of threat, psychological warfare conducted through the internet. It showed how easily human vulnerability can be exploited, and how quickly something invisible can become deadly. A final thought. Some say the blue whale game was just a myth. Others say it was very real. But perhaps the most important question isn't whether the game existed in a structured form. It's this: how many people felt so alone that they listened? Because in the end, the scariest part of the blue whale wasn't the curator. It wasn't the challenges. It wasn't even the final task. It was the silence surrounding those who needed help and didn't receive it in time.